Okay, welcome back to another, in my honest opinion, episode. So today, or tonight, or wherever you're listening to, or what time of the day you're listening to this, we're going to talk about a young, promising artist. His name is Sean Archer. So we're going to dig deep with his music. We're going to be listening to three of his songs, and then I will be giving out my honest, non-conforming, opinionated, and uh yeah, my honest opinion about it. So just a quick disclaimer. So this segment is all about, you know, me being honest with what I listen to and what I see. So at the end of the day, it's going to be my opinion. So if you don't like my opinion, then shut the fuck up. Diba? It's just simple as that. I don't really mind if you don't like my opinion. I'm just gonna be coming in here understanding, someone's art, and try to understand it in a way that I can understand it. So there's a possibility that I will have a positive feedback and a bit of like negative feedback on it, or constructive criticism, as you might say. But at the end of the day, it's my opinion. So if you have a different opinion, then you do you, man. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to understand the music, the artist itself, and to see how, and, and basically just to listen and see what is the fuzz all about. So a little bit of background before, let me just put the story behind it before we move on to listening to the songs. So a couple of days back, I've been getting this dumadaan to sa news feed ko, the Sean Archer guy and his song Yayaman. And for some reason, to be honest, I really hate I really hate the lyrics because it's very simple, it's very straight to the point. It's, to be honest, it's kind of brain rot for me, to be honest, if you will, because I grew up listening to the greats like Razorheads, River Maya. Yeah, they have a lot of like, direct, straight to the point lyrics, pero it's not as, as direct as this one, to a point na parang every time dumadaan siya sa feed ko, I feel like it's very, alam mo yun, parang it's not my cup of tea in a short term, or in a way, because again, I grew up listening to, to Ellie, to Bamboo, to Rico Blanco, and all of the greats, Evidencel. They have their way of writing songs, and kumbaga parang I came to a conclusion where ganito na ba talaga yung music that we're getting exposed to. Like, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't really make you think mentally, kumbaga, in a way, because the lyrics back then are something that you need to really listen to twice or three times or four times to get the point of it, kumbaga. And then there are some songs as well that are very straight to the point, direct to the point. Pero I feel like with this guy, I think he's hitting the marketing strategy that everyone needs, to a point na it's either you get annoyed by listening to his songs, or you actually just listen to the song and understand it in a way. Kumbaga, dun siya nag-hit. That's why we're here. So so before we proceed, let me just do a quick intro, or let me just do a quick introduction to the artist. So literally, I just researched this guy like around like 5 to 10 minutes as well, and I saw one article about him that was written by Tomasino Webb last February 6th, 2023, and I did read it. And first things first, so before we proceed, so let me just give you a quick background of the guy. So Sean Archer is a musician songwriter. he's very young, and he has 14,000 followers in Facebook, 4,000, 5,000, almost 5,000 followers on Instagram, and then um, on what do you call this? On Spotify, he has like 12,000 listeners. So it's already a lot. Kumbaga, the kid is already, you know, in that area. And the surprise is that he is actually being produced by Rico Blanco. So I don't know what Rico Blanco got with this kid. I've listened to the songs once. So in my defense and in all fairness, what I do every time I critic a song or an artist is that I check them out, I do my research, and then I listen to the song twice or three times just to make sure I get the point across. Kumbaga walang magiging depende lang sa kung ano yung nararamdaman ko at the moment. So I've listened to um Mamayana, what else? Yeah, I've listened to Mamayana, Puyat, and Yayaman. So after this intro, I'm gonna be or later we're gonna be listening to the songs itself. So I don't mind getting copyrighted, to be honest. I just want to get the song out there. So I would really appreciate it if and only if you've listened to this episode and you alam mo yun, follow me on YouTube and then check me out on Spotify, leave a review or um what do you call this? Basta click nyo lang yung magbibigay ng 5 stars on Spotify. I would really appreciate it. So, there's nothing much to it. Kumbaga, I would like to get in the meat and potatoes of this conversation, or not really a conversation, a discussion, and then I'll give you guys my input. Again, this is in my honest opinion, so I don't have any script. I don't have anything. We're going to listen to it real time. This is my second time listening to the songs, and we'll talk about it. Kumbaga. So yeah. So let's start with the one that doesn't have a music video. So let's start with his first single last 2022, which is Mamayana. Uh, let me share my screen. Okay, here. Actually, but hindi na lang entire screen, no? Ay, hindi. Kailangan pala ng music, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, let's listen. Okay. So, before I give out, what do you call this? My critique. So, let's listen to two more songs. For the second one is Puyat, which was released like a month ago. So, there's another single. So, again, same, produced by Rico Blanco. So let's listen to it. And after this, we'll listen to Yayaman, and then I'll give my honest opinion about it. Okay. And then lastly, Yayaman. So enjoy, guys. Then after this, let's talk about. Well, I'm going to talk about my critique on this, and in terms my honest opinion. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna critique first is the music, then the lyrics, and then Sean Archer himself. So before anything else, I just want to give you guys a an idea that this kid is a music technology student. I believe he already graduated, so he knows his shit. Kumbaga, in a sense, kumbaga, he knows how to create his own sound and probably do produce, arrange, and probably mix and master. Hopefully, because he's a music technology student. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know like any grounds for and what are the things na kumbaga advantage of being a music technology student. But the idea is that he knows his shit. And from the evolution from Mamayana to Puyat and then to Yayaman, I like the way he evolved in a way. So let's start with the music. Let me talk about first the positives. So I like that he evolves in a way that kumbaga it's getting better in a musician's perspective. Kasi una, mamaya na, as you can hear on the verse parts, there is a mix of electronic music and then the authenticity of like the rawness of music. Kasi on the first parts of the song Mamaya Na, narinig mo yung e-drums, yung electronic drums, and the way na medyo mixed yung part na yon. You can see that it was created. Kumbaga, the idea is that we're being prompted to the idea that it was hopefully produced or he created it himself, produced in a not really cheap way, pero in a way it's indie. Kumbaga. And then it came to the chorus part where it's just full raw. You can hear the change with the electronic drums to using the acoustic drums. And yeah, I mean I like it. There's this rhythmic lead part to the chorus part, which I really like when it comes to the songs kasi I'm a fan of melodic lead parts. Kumbaga. It's not really hindi siya yung nagiging front ng song, but instead it's added to the background to a point that if you listen to it, you'll see the greatness in the melodic parts that he did on that song, which is great. Kumbaga, it adds flavor, it adds authenticity, it adds creativeness to a point na kumbaga it's being different compared to the songs that is going out during that time. Second, with um Puyat, it has the subtleness of electronic music and the acoustic drums or the rawness of the sound in it, and it evolved so much. The music evolved to a point na again, if you're not really all I'm saying is that if you're not really listening to the song itself, you'll never know the difference. Eh. Kumbaga, hindi mo makita yung subtle evolve nung idea of being this indie kid to a point na para bang, alam mo yun, nagiging acoustic na siya, nagiging raw na yung music niya, which I like. Kumbaga, it's evolving. That's the idea. In music, you need to be evolving. Kumbaga, it's not being a sellout. It's about adapting to change and making it better than before. Kumbaga, that's the idea in it. And then on Yayaman, that's where I enjoy the music kasi it's it's very different from the two previous songs that we listened to. It has this angst. I mean, all of the songs has it angst, and it's punk rock or rock or alternative, however you see it. But in Yayaman, you can see alam mo yun, there's this Pinoy lick in it. Kumbaga, tawag ko doon is the Pinoy lick. The Pinoy kind of blues, kind of alternative lick, especially on the bass and on the guitars, and the angst and the rawness of the music. It feels like it can turn into like a really dirty and gritty blues to a point na it's just very raw, which I like kasi it evolved hindi backwards, it evolved forward to a point na he's being his own persona. He's being his own character. Kumbaga, from this indie kid that produces music using a MIDI keyboard and then nagkaroon ng chance na magkaroon ng acoustic track and then to being subtle with, paano ko ba pronounce it? Basta yon in a way na um, nandun pa rin yung parts of his identity being this indie kid to a point na parang nagka-crossover na siya to more on the raw music itself, and then the Yayaman, which is very gritty, very raw, very alam mo yun, straight to your face music. And the Pinoy lick that I'm talking about. It's the Pinoy blues lick na nakikita mo sa mga old school blueseros or yung mga old school musicians that has this kind of lick. It evolves in the same scale. Kumbaga nakikita, naririnig mo in the bass and in the guitars. So I like it. I like the evolution. Again, my only critique, well, it's not really a critique. It's a feedback. It's a positive feedback na, you're seeing what are the things that you need to improve on. Again, it's my opinion. Possibly there's going to be an opinion saying that alam mo yun, you're evolving backwards, but for me it's not. I mean, the idea is that you're creating your own identity, and that's what's important. Kumbaga, if you want to continue doing that, or if you want to going back to your subtle indie style where MIDI keyboard and then acoustic drums, or kumbaga, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Kumbaga, that's your identity from the very beginning. Coming from someone that has been in playing music for like 2 decades now, almost 2 decades, and listen to a lot of songs, critique a lot of songs. On the very first track, which is Mamayana, your very first single, it was, you already had that identity. I think you just expounded it in a way na mas naging authentic siya, kumbaga. And I think with the help of Rico, of course, di ba? There's no doubt to it. On the constructive criticism part, I feel like it's very common. That's my thing. Every indie kid has this idea of like turning electronic music into uh kumbaga, the idea is that it's very common in a way that I know that there is going to be um like a subtle hint of who you are and what you want to be, which is not really, to be honest, it's not really constructive criticism. It's more of like, yeah, I got you. Kumbaga, I know what you're trying to portray and what you're trying to say, or what you're trying to for your audience to understand. And it's not really, you're not really the first one to do it. Kumbaga, Sean Archer is the not the first one to do it, but I like the idea. Kumbaga. So that's the music. That's my critique with the music. I like it. I don't really have a love hate relationship with it. Kumbaga, at the end of the day, the idea of being an artist is to create your own identity, and I believe you're already close to it. Kumbaga, I just want to listen to after Yayaman. I want to listen to your track and see if it's gonna be the same trend, or if you're going back to your roots, which is a bit of indie music or electronic music, and then rawness. Kumbaga, again, doesn't really matter. It's your identity from the very beginning. It's already your identity. The thing about that is that it's not very common. It's, a lot of indie kids did that already. I think you're just the first one who has this unique style, kumbaga, and it became really popular to the masses. Connecting that, so let's talk about the lyrics. For the lyrics, I like Mamaya na from for the song Mamaya na, let's start with the constructive criticism part. Kasi I feel like there's more constructive feedback compared to like the good feedback. But before that, let me just drink my water. Okay. So for the lyrics, I believe that Mamayana is not the strongest. Well, it you see, here's where I'm contradicting myself. Kasi the idea of Mamayana is a very common trend. Kumbaga, mamaya ka na umuwi kasi gusto pa kitang makasama or anything, which is kind of cliche already. Kumbaga, there's a lot of the idea of writing love songs in a way, I think, if you're gonna look at it on that way, it's very cliche already. Um it can be your strongest feat and it can be the weakest The strongest because it's relatable, it's easy to listen to, and the the not really the bad but the medyo hindi siya effective in a way is because it's a cliche thing to talk about love. I'm not hating on songwriters or writers that are writing about love, about the idea of love, about the topic of love. Kasi it's a very common thing eh. It's a lot of people relate to the idea of the topic of love. Kasi it's a universal feeling eh. And another thing is that I didn't really felt the climax there. Kumbaga, I'm not really the greatest songwriter, but I contributed and wrote probably a lot of songs already. Contributed to a lot of songs, and in I believe everyone can relate to it. In every song, there should be like a climax. What do you mean by climax? Kumbaga, yung chorus part that determines what is the chorus and what is the kumbaga what sets it apart. Kumbaga the verses and then the chorus part. I believe on Mamayana, it's the same lyrics on the first part, medyo yun iba lang ng onte. So that's why I'm kind of in the middle of is this like the strongest love song? Probably rewrite it or probably arrange it in a way that there will be like a climax on the chorus. I mean, I felt it after the second verse. Nag-chorus ka na, nag-second verse, and then nag-chorus ulit, and then towards the last parts, doon ko na siya na-felt na, okay, this is the chorus part. Kasi ito yung mas nagkakaroon ng trajectory doon sa song na yun. Mamaya na, mamaya na. Kasi as a songwriter, you have to grasp the audience attention by the first minute eh. Kumbaga, that's why there is, I don't know if it's still effective, pero there's a formula in songwriting that you don't need to have a really long intro. In less than 1 minute, you need to have the verse done, and then you're setting up chorus, or you're already in the chorus parts. That's why there's a magic number in songwriting. I don't know if you all agree, but there's a magic number, magic minute in songwriting, which is 3 minutes to 4 minutes. Kasi that's where the attention span is happening. Kumbaga, if it's over 4 minutes, it's around 5 minutes or 6 minutes, wala na. I mean, it's already boring for just a simple fan or simple listener. But if it's like below 3 minutes, then there's going to be a subtle talk na parang ang ikli, parang something. So that's the why it's the magic number. But besides that, kumbaga, I didn't. My only critique there is that there's no shift, there's no climax on the first parts. Kumbaga, if this is my second time listening to it, so doon sa second time, doon ko siya nakita na, okay, ito yung climax ng chorus. I think that's my critic there. For Puyat, yeah, there's a climax, pero how do I say this? It's very simple to a point na, yeah, a lot of people can relate to it. Pero I grew up listening to people or to musicians like Eraserheads, River Maya, Sugar Free, Razorback, and a lot more. To a point that I like the idea of trying to decipher the lyrics. Kumbaga, hindi siya ano eh, hindi siya nag-click for me kasi it's very simple, it's very straight to the point, and honestly, I feel like, yeah, a lot of students, a lot of people can relate to it, especially if you have insomnia or if you have the same feeling, but I feel like it doesn't make sense as lyrical as it should. Kumbaga. Yeah, the idea is that ayaw mo na mapuyat, ayaw mo nang, kumbaga, you're worried that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock gising ka pa, and honestly, what's the point? Kumbaga, yeah, a lot of people can relate to it, especially if you have the same scenario, especially with students that has the same scenario or same feeling na parang alam mo yun, they have this anxiety where nag-worry sila about what's gonna happen tomorrow or in the future to a point that it's affecting their sleep. And yeah, that's the relatable point to it. Kasi gusto mo lang matulog. Pero hindi ka makatulog kasi nga you're being bothered with a lot of things. But at the end of the day, I feel like it doesn't make sense to a bigger audience. Kasi in some cases, I feel like people will say the bullshit, walang kakwenta-kwenta yung lyrics. But if you listen to the music, not the lyrics, then it's a bop. Kumbaga, it's good. And then in Yayaman, kumbaga, I like the idea that you evolve your songwriting to a point that it's not just talking about love, it's not just talking about alam mo yun, one's feeling or one's experience, but you're talking about a bigger topic, which is yung stereotype ng pagiging Filipino parents, which is, alam mo yun, all of our parents strive for their kids to have a better life. And by doing that, they don't know that, alam mo yun, what their words are being affected or kumbaga masakit yung mga sinasabi nila kasi you're just fighting for what you want, which is great. Kumbaga that's the idea of being punk. And I feel like you're turning into that persona or that identity, which is punk rock or punk. The non-conforming, the fuck it all, the I don't care what you think, and I'm gonna go against the usual trend, which is great. You're talking about living life to the fullest and loving what you want. Kumbaga, you're talking about it in probably in an experience in a way that you were told that ba't ka nagbabanda, well, di ka na mayayaman dyan, which is why your parents, alam mo yun, the idea is that your parents love you to a point na, alam mo yun, they're thinking about your future, but at the end of the day, I'll make sure that I create my own future, which is great. It's part of songwriting. It made me think, and it made me look at it in a different perspective, in a way na, yeah, he's hitting that mark. He's trying to create that that identity that you can live your own life however you want it, but which is great. The point here is medyo medyo cliche lang. I think you can write it again. It's just my opinion. You can write it in a way na hindi siya nagiging baduy. Like yung first na yung chorus, banda ka ng banda, yayaman ka ba dyan, yayaman ka ba dyan. I mean, it's very straight to the point, because the idea of music is that you want to make sure that the lyrics is being portrayed or being directed towards the audience or someone's listening to it. Pero put some challenge to the listeners. Again, my opinion. Kumbaga, I believe you can rewrite it in a way that people will try to decipher it. Again, coming from a guy that listened to Razorheads, to the greats that made me think of their lyrics. The idea of like maselang bahaghari. Ano ba maselang bahaghari? What's the meaning behind it? Diba? You need to listen to it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times to decipher what it is. Sundo by Mago. Kumbaga, yeah, 'di ba? Ano pa ba? Marami pa mga songs during that era, to a point na you have to understand it. You have to really read the lyrics to understand what they're trying to portray or to say, and you'll appreciate the art of it. Kumbaga, I appreciate the art of what you're doing. I just feel like you're already spoon feeding people to a point na it makes them dumb, makes them stupid, na they're not using their brain effectively. Kasi art should be non-compromising. Art should be not really direct to the point, but it should make you understand the point across. Kumbaga, that's why, modern songwriters like December Avenue listen to Saksi ng Langit by not watching the music video. alam mo yun, you'll try to think and decipher what they're talking about. Yeah, it's about love. Pero by not watching the music video, I'm not gonna think about like it's a father, it's a father's love, kumbaga. Yeah. I mean that's and then basically that's it. So again, I don't really have a love-hate relationship. I appreciate Sean Archer as a musician and as a lyricist to a point na if given the opportunity, I will definitely watch this kid live. Kasi I feel like the experience will be very different compared to just listening to it. Now, let's talk about the persona, the identity. Sean Archer. You know what? I can definitely say na I think I found the reason or intent why Rico Blanco picked this kid up in the first place. Because not just because he's also producing and discovered Zild, pero kasi alam mo yun, there's an identity to it. If me, if I'm gonna be a producer, hopefully one day, I will do the same thing because you already have your sound, you already have your identity. It's just a matter of how can I sell you to the masses? Honestly, if you think and if you're still living in a cave, you'll never think of the idea of how can I profit from artists like Sean Archer because music is business. Anyone you talk to, they will say that yeah, it's passion, yeah, it's something that you fight for, but at the end of the day, music is still business. That's why we have Spotify, we have a lot of streaming platforms because they're trying to make a profit out of you being an artist. And I can definitely sense that there's an identity to it. It's not gonna be hard for me to to produce or to network you or to promote you or to market you because you're already a created product. Kumbaga. You already have shit figured out. Kumbaga, honestly. And I think what changed when Rico Blanco picked you up is that the way you write your songs. Kasi from Mamayana, you talk about love. With Puyat, you talk about your own experience. And with Yayaman, you talk about like a bigger topic. Kumbaga, nandun na yung idea of, yeah, you can be versatile. You're not just a love song lyrical poet, pero you talk about, issues that needs to be talked about. Like Yayaman, you know, the bigger perspective here is that Yayaman talks about a lot of like the common stereotypes that we have here in the Philippines. And kumbaga, I'm happy that you talk about that. So there's a lot of people that are still struggling to the idea of, ano ba yung pipiliin kong career sa buhay ko? As an artist, it's hard to say to your parents that you want to pursue music kasi that's the first thing they will say. Yaman ka ba dyan? Kumbaga magkakaroon ka ba ng buhay sa pagiging artist mo, sa pagiging musician mo. And I'm happy that you're brave enough to talk about that song, to talk about that experience. Or yeah, I hope you didn't experience it kasi you're a music technology student. Pero, the common thing that a lot of us artists, you know, experience. I'm lucky that I never experienced the idea of being questioned with what I want to do in life. Kasi nga, my parents are supportive in a way that they let me do what, they enrolled me in a music school and they, I mean, they supported me with my career. The only thing that I have for as a persona is that on the ground surface, I feel like if there's going to be a compromise with you versus Sil, because on the ground surface, kumbaga, without listening to the songs, there's going to be a tad comparison already. Kasi the way you style yourself, it's the same with Zild. Kumbaga, the angst, the goth, alam mo yun, the punk theme, which is common today. Kumbaga, Zild started that out and marami na nag-follow to a point na parang, alam mo yun, David Bowie style, uh, the style itself. And then you're coming in and doing the same thing. Kumbaga, on the ground surface, there's a possibility that there's going to be comparison with you and Zild. So the challenge there is how can you be different in just by looking at it. Kumbaga. Kasi kasi yeah, that's a common issue that a lot of artists face. Kasi during my era, during my teenage years, the idea is that we have Razorback, we have Wolfgang, almost the same. We have um, Kamikaze, and then we have Parokya, which is on the ground surface. Alam mo yun, yeah, it's all bands. They have the same drummer, not really the same drummer. They have drums, they have guitars, they have whatnot. Pero they created this persona in a way that if alam mo yun, they stand out. Kumbaga, Kamikaze stand out because they're very alam mo yun, napakasaya nila panoorin sa stage. Parokya is the same, pero they have a different humor compared to Kamikaze. Kumbaga, the challenge here is how can you be different with Zild on the ground surface? Kasi if they listen to your music, yeah, they will definitely hear a difference. Kasi you're leaning towards alternative, punk rock, indie rock, or kung ano man yung term na gusto nyo gamitin doon. And then Zild is, kumbaga, Zild is being Zild. But I think that's the challenge there. And I'm happy that you're on the mainstream media kasi well in my community here in Laguna it's not really new because we have a lot of subgenres here or different genres. We have shoegaze, we have alternative, we have punk rock, which is very rich here in Laguna. Huge shout out to Ordinary Summer, Happy Three Friends, and a lot of like alternative punk rock bands here in Laguna. Mani Contador, Signals and Airwaves. There's a lot more that are really great poets or lyricists. And I'm happy that you represent them. Kumbaga, you have a big you have a big plate on you. And the challenge here is how can you be different? And the idea is that yeah, it's gonna be a comparison. That's part of it. Pero kasi it's always about how can you be different. And I'm happy that you're already seeing that from listening to Mamayana, Puyat, and then Yayaman. You already have, alam mo yun, you're already sorting out your identity. And I'm gonna be waiting for the next release because that's where I feel like that's where everything will change. Because if the idea is that here's what I got and I observed from bands. Let me just use Sandwich as a case study. Sandwich, there's no specific genre that they play because they've already reached the limit to a point that they're already known as Sandwich, and they're just trying to reinvent themselves. You, on the other hand, Sean Archer, is still on the rise, and people still needs to listen to you. So how much and how can you make sure that you attain that identity? Kumbaga, that's a challenge. Pero yeah, I mean, overall, I'm not a fan of the direct to the point, straight to the point lyrics because I feel like it's dumbing me down, and a lot of people are being dumbed down with the idea of being simple and not really using mental capacity or not really, alam mo yun, identifying what the lyrics are or deciphering what the lyrics are. But I like the music. It's very raw. It's very fresh, and it's very new, especially in the mainstream media. So yeah, I mean that's my in my honest opinion, Sean Archer. So if you like this type of content, you can. I know I'm gonna be copyrighted because I played three songs. So if you like the content, if you like what I've discussed today or tonight or kung saan man nyo man pinapakinggan to, listen to, you can check it out on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, click the like, and then comment down below what do you think. And then if you're on Spotify, just type in Usapang Musika with Ervin Besana and let me listen to the episode. I don't know, like yung click na parang magdadagdag ng mga stars sa akin. I don't know what's that called. I don't give a shit. And then comment your opinion about it. Let's have a conversation and then let's see, if I'm right or wrong. Again, I don't really care. If I'm right, then yeah. If I'm wrong, then yeah. Again, it's my honest opinion. So fuck you. So so yeah, that's it. Again, thank you so much for listening or watching, and you guys take care.